The living room was spotless. Too spotless, Daniel thought, as he wiped his hands on his jeans and looked around the apartment one last time. The windows gleamed, the coffee table was arranged like a furniture catalog, and even the pillows on the couch were fluffed and symmetrical. "She's going to think we live in a showroom," he muttered. From the hallway, Melissa's voice floated in. "That's the idea." Daniel turned. His wife appeared, her dark hair pinned up, wearing a light green blouse and jeans. She looked both excited and nervous, a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She texted. "She just got out of the Uber," Melissa said, holding up her phone. 2 minutes. Daniel swallowed. "Okay." Deep breath. He didn't know what he was so nervous about. He was a grown man. He paid his bills, held a respectable job, loved his wife, and didn't have any criminal records. And yet, the idea of meeting Evelyn Harper made his palms sweat like he was back in middle school about to give a speech. Melissa adjusted a vase on the shelf, then stopped. "Please, just try." "I am trying," Daniel said. "You make it sound like I'm going to call her mom and ask her to arm wrestle." Melissa gave him a quick kiss on the cheek. "She's just a little intense. But she's not a monster. Just be patient and don't." The doorbell rang. Daniel flinched like it was a gunshot. Melissa's hand flew to her heart. "Okay, babe. Here we go." He opened the door. There she was. Evelyn Harper stood in the doorway with the posture of a retired general and the eyes of a seasoned interrogator. Her silver-gray hair was swept back in a tight bun, not a strand out of place. She wore a crisp navy blazer, matching slacks, and a white blouse with a brooch pin just above the collar, a small gold owl staring as coldly as its owner. "Hello, Melissa," she said, her voice smooth but clipped. "Hi, Mom." Melissa leaned forward to hug her, but Evelyn responded with a kind of half-hug that was more symbolic than affectionate. "And this must be..." Evelyn turned to Daniel. Daniel extended his hand. "Daniel. It's really nice to finally meet you, Mrs. Harper." Evelyn looked at his hand, then shook it with 2 fingers and a flash of a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Likewise," she said. "You're taller than I expected." He blinked. Thank you. Not a compliment or a criticism," she added, stepping inside. "Just an observation." Melissa rolled her eyes behind her mother's back and whispered, "Brace yourself." Evelyn walked into the living room like a home inspector with a clipboard. She eyed the furniture, the curtains, the rug, and made a small hum of disapproval. "This rug is synthetic," she said, bending slightly to touch it. "You should be careful with synthetics. They off-gas for years." Daniel opened his mouth, then closed it again. "So it begins," he thought. "It's temporary," Melissa said quickly. "We're still figuring things out." Evelyn turned toward her. 6 months into marriage is not temporary, Melissa. It's foundational." Daniel tried to lighten the mood. "Well, we haven't burned the place down yet, so that's a good sign, right?" Evelyn looked at him. "I hope you don't use humor to deflect from serious topics." "Only when I'm scared," he said before he could stop himself. Melissa winced. Evelyn just stared at him. "Charming," she said flatly. Then to Melissa, "Where's the guest room? I'd like to freshen up." Melissa led her mother down the hallway, and Daniel stood in the living room, exhaling slowly. The woman was like a pressure washer in human form. A few minutes later, the 3 of them were seated at the kitchen table. Daniel had made tea, herbal for Evelyn, black for himself, and Melissa was sipping something iced. "So," Evelyn said, folding her hands, "tell me about your job, Daniel. I know you work with computers, but I imagine it's more complicated than that." Daniel smiled politely. "I'm a software engineer. I work remotely for a cybersecurity firm. Mostly back-end systems, network monitoring, that kind of thing." Evelyn tilted her head. "So you spend most of your time typing? More or less?" That must be very exciting for Melissa. There was that tone again, sweetened poison. "It pays the bills," he said. "And I enjoy it. Keeps me sharp. And sedentary." He laughed softly. I go to the gym. She raised one perfectly shaped eyebrow. Do you? Mom, Melissa cut in. Can we not interrogate him like he's applying for a loan? Evelyn sipped her tea. I'm just getting to know my son-in-law. You've been here 20 minutes and you've already insulted the rug, his job and his lifestyle, Melissa said, exasperated. Evelyn placed her cup down with delicate precision. If I'd insulted him, dear, he would know. Daniel chuckled despite himself. It's okay. I can take it. Evelyn looked at him again, like she was measuring his tolerance. We'll see. That night after dinner, Evelyn insisted on helping clean up. Or rather, she insisted Melissa clean up while she supervised. Daniel offered, but Evelyn dismissed him with a wave of the hand. Men should rest after dinner, she said. The world is hard enough on them. Melissa blinked at her. Are you being sarcastic? Evelyn ignored the question. Daniel retreated to the living room, trying not to feel like a guest in his own home. He heard clinking dishes, muffled voices, and at one point, Melissa's slightly raised voice followed by Evelyn's signature hum of judgment. Later, when they finally lay in bed, Daniel turned to his wife. Was she always like this? Melissa groaned. She was worse when I was a teenager. She thinks I'm a weak man with no taste in rugs. She thinks everyone is weak. That's how she protects herself. Daniel stared at the ceiling. We've got 3 more days of this, right? Melissa groaned again. The next morning, Daniel awoke to the smell of burnt toast and aggressive humming. He blinked at the ceiling, momentarily forgetting that Evelyn was in the guest room. Then he heard the cabinets in the kitchen opening and closing like someone was searching for hidden contraband. He slipped out of bed, threw on a hoodie, and padded out to the kitchen. Evelyn stood at the stove, holding a spatula like a weapon and poking at something unidentifiable in the frying pan. She didn't turn around. Your toaster is cheap. Good morning, Daniel said carefully. She finally glanced at him. Do you always sleep this late? It's 7:15. Exactly. Daniel walked to the counter. Can I get you anything? Evelyn gestured toward the pan. I've made breakfast. He peered over her shoulder. It looked like eggs and, possibly turkey bacon, though it had been cooked to the color of charcoal. I appreciate that, he said politely. Let me grab plates. As they sat down to eat, Melissa stumbled in bleary-eyed, her hair wild, her robe half open. She froze when she saw her mother already seated and sipping coffee. Oh no. What time is it? Time to start your day, Evelyn said without looking up. Melissa sat slowly. I had a client call at 9. I set an alarm. I turned it off, Evelyn said. Melissa's mouth opened. You what? You needed rest. You looked pale last night. Daniel glanced at his wife. Melissa looked like a pressure cooker about to burst. Mom, she said slowly. I'm an adult. You can't just turn off my alarm and decide what's best for me. I raised you. I think I'm qualified to judge when my daughter is exhausted. I'm not 16 anymore. Evelyn sipped her coffee. Could have fooled me the way your hair's standing up. Daniel put down his fork. Maybe we should all take a breath. Don't defend me, Melissa snapped. I wasn't. Don't defend her either. I wasn't doing that either. Evelyn sighed. This is what happens when people don't eat enough protein in the morning. Later that day, Daniel decided to take Evelyn grocery shopping. It was either that or endure another hour of unsolicited opinions about their spice rack, their electricity usage, and Melissa's posture habits. They drove in silence for the first few minutes. Evelyn sat with her back straight, purse in her lap, looking out the window like a visiting diplomat from a disapproving country. Finally she spoke. You drive too close to the right. Daniel tightened his grip on the steering wheel. I'm staying within the lines. Barely. I've been driving for 15 years. And yet here I am, gripping the door handle. He exhaled. Would you like to drive? I would like to arrive. Daniel bit the inside of his cheek. At the store, Evelyn scrutinized everything. She tooted at the price of apples, raised eyebrows at his brand of laundry detergent, and made a noise of pure horror when he picked up a frozen pizza. "You eat that. Sometimes. It's quick. It's poison. Delicious poison." She looked at him, and for the first time, a small flicker of amusement crossed her face. "Well, at least you're honest." The first crack. That evening, while Melissa was on a Zoom call, Daniel and Evelyn found themselves alone in the living room. She was knitting. He was pretending to watch TV but mostly watching her. "Why do you dislike me?" he asked suddenly. She didn't look up. "I don't dislike you. You don't seem to like me either." Evelyn's needles clicked. "You married my only daughter. That comes with scrutiny. I want the best for her. So do I. I treat her well. For now." He blinked. "Excuse me." Evelyn finally looked at him. "I've seen men like you. Quiet, clever, too nice. You bottle everything up until one day it bursts and you become someone no one recognizes. That's a bold assumption. It's experience." Daniel leaned forward. "I didn't come from a perfect family, but I came from a good one. I have no intention of ever hurting Melissa. Not now. Not ever." Evelyn studied him. Then, "You believe that? Good." A long silence followed. The tension didn't vanish, but it shifted. No longer ice. Now, pressure. Controlled. Measured. Maybe even respectful. Later that night, as they all got ready for bed, Evelyn emerged from the bathroom and looked at Daniel. "Good night, Daniel." It was the first time she'd used his name. He blinked. "Good night." After she closed the door, Melissa whispered, "Wait, did she just?" "I think so. You broke through the fortress. I barely scratched the gate." The next morning came with a strange kind of silence. Daniel woke up early. The house was still. No clattering pans, no judgmental humming. Just quiet. He walked to the kitchen, expecting to find Evelyn critiquing their lack of breakfast variety, but instead found a note on the counter in neat cursive. "Gone for a walk. Don't burn anything. E." He blinked. Was this trust? Melissa walked in a few minutes later, yawning. "She left." "Yeah. Walking. Alone. In our neighborhood." "Interesting." Daniel leaned against the counter. "I think I'm starting to get used to her. Like she's difficult but not evil." Melissa smiled faintly. "That's progress. She used to make my ex cry." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "You never told me that. I tried to repress those years." He chuckled. "Should I be honored I've lasted this long?" Melissa kissed him on the cheek. "You're already my longest-lasting romantic relationship. Statistically, you're doing great." Evelyn returned around 8:30 with a newspaper and a bag of bagels. "Everything bagels," she said, placing the bag on the counter. "The only kind worth eating." Daniel reached for one. "Wow. This is almost generous." "Don't ruin it," she said, but her tone had softened. They ate in relative peace. No lectures, no passive-aggressive commentary. Just silence, punctuated by the sound of chewing and the occasional rustle of newspaper pages. Daniel dared to hope. The history. That afternoon, Melissa had to leave for a meeting with a client. It was the first time Evelyn and Daniel were left completely alone, unsupervised, for more than an hour. They sat in the living room again, each with their own mug of tea. Outside, the sky darkened, a thunderstorm brewing. Daniel cleared his throat. "Can I ask you something personal?" Evelyn looked over the rim of her cup. "That depends. Why did Melissa's father leave?" The air in the room changed instantly, as if someone had cut the wires to the lights. Evelyn didn't answer right away. She set her cup down slowly, deliberately. "He didn't leave," she said, voice flat. "He quit." Daniel stayed quiet. "He quit being a husband, father, man. One day he said he needed space. The next he was gone. We got the divorce papers in the mail like junk flyers." "I'm sorry." Evelyn nodded once, curtly. Melissa was 11. She stopped speaking for almost 3 weeks. Just walked around like a ghost. Daniel exhaled. That explains a lot. She doesn't talk about him. I made sure of that. Maybe she needs to. Evelyn's eyes snapped to his. Don't assume you know what she needs. Daniel held her gaze. She's not a child anymore. She'll always be my child. And she's my wife. Beep. Evelyn blinked slowly. That's the problem, she said softly. Storm. The rain began around 3 p.m. Heavy. Relentless. Melissa texted to say she was stuck across town. Flooded streets, blocked intersections. She might not get home until late. So Daniel and Evelyn found themselves trapped in the apartment together again. Two strong-willed minds, forced to coexist. They tried a movie. Evelyn hated it. They tried board games. Evelyn crushed Daniel at Scrabble and accused him of inventing the word plumbus. I swear it's a word. It sounds like something a pirate would say. By dinner they were back to silence. Daniel reheated leftovers while Evelyn scrolled on her tablet, occasionally glancing out at the storm like she was plotting an escape. He placed a plate in front of her. Thanks, she said, almost too quietly to hear. He sat down. You're welcome. A phone call. Halfway through the meal, Evelyn's phone buzzed. She answered. Yes. No, I'm fine. I'm just with Daniel. Her tone was neutral. But Daniel noticed her posture stiffened slightly. Yes, he's cooking. Surprisingly well. Another pause. No, Melissa's not home yet. Daniel sipped his water, pretending not to eavesdrop, though the apartment was too small for privacy. No, I haven't brought it up. I told you it's not the right time. She stood, walking to the window. Yes, I'm sure. Don't push me. I'll handle it my way. Beat of silence. Then she ended the call. When she turned around, her expression was unreadable. Everything okay? Daniel asked. Fine. He didn't believe her. But he didn't press. Midnight. Melissa got home just after midnight, soaked and exhausted. Daniel wrapped her in a towel and kissed her forehead. Evelyn made hot tea without being asked. For a moment they looked like a family. Awkward, imperfect, but trying. Melissa looked between them. You didn't kill each other. We considered it, Daniel said. Evelyn sipped her tea. Not worth the cleanup. Melissa laughed. A real laugh, the kind she hadn't let out in days. And for a moment everything was okay. But only for a moment. The next morning was deceptively calm. Clear skies, warm sunlight, birds chirping like nothing ever went wrong between human beings. Melissa was out again, brunch with a college friend, and Evelyn had offered to help Daniel organize the hall closet. It's a disaster zone, she'd said. If you've lived here 6 months and haven't touched it, it needs intervention. Daniel didn't argue. Together they pulled out shoes, bags, coats, boxes, and one very old vacuum cleaner with a wheel that squeaked like a tortured mouse. What's in here? Evelyn asked, holding up a dusty cardboard box. Old papers. Manuals. Some of my dad's stuff, I think. Evelyn froze. Your father's. Daniel nodded. He passed 2 years ago. She didn't say anything, just placed the box down carefully and opened the flaps. Inside, old family photos, worn notebooks, an envelope marked for Daniel in blocky handwriting. Daniel blinked. I forgot I had that. He reached for the envelope, but Evelyn's hand got there first. She held it, reading the name, then turned it over and stared at the sealed flap. I didn't know he left you something. He left me a lot, Daniel said softly. Just not for long enough. Evelyn said nothing. Daniel reached out, gently taking the envelope from her hand. Their fingers brushed. A strange, quiet moment. I'm sorry for what happened with Melissa's dad, he said. But I'm not him. Her face twitched. I don't want to replace anyone, he added. I just want to be part of this family. And for Melissa to feel like her mother and her husband don't hate each other. Evelyn let out a dry laugh. I don't hate you. Could have fooled me. She sat down on the floor right next to the closet mess. For the first time she looked tired. Not old, just human. I didn't want her to marry you. Daniel nodded. Yeah, I got that. It wasn't personal. It was statistical. Young marriages, creative jobs, digital nomads. All these new things I don't understand. Daniel sat beside her. That's fair. I don't understand a lot of things either. Like why you knit scarves in summer. They're for winter. It's September. I plan ahead. He smiled. I respect that. Long pause. Then Evelyn said very quietly, I'm afraid of being alone. I just hide it better than most people. Daniel looked at her. You're not alone. Even if we drive you crazy. She chuckled, a soft, low, genuine laugh. I'll admit, she said. You've held up better than I expected. Is that approval? Don't push your luck. That evening, Melissa's return. When Melissa came home, she found Daniel and Evelyn sitting on the couch together, both holding mugs of tea and watching a wildlife documentary. Peaceful. Even a companionable. Melissa blinked. Am I hallucinating? Daniel grinned. It's your mother's fault. She's turned me into a bagel-eating, rug-hating neat freak. Evelyn added. And he's turned me into someone who understands Netflix. Melissa looked between them, stunned. You didn't kill each other. Not even close, Daniel said. We might have even agreed on something. Several things, Evelyn admitted. Like how you overcook pasta. Melissa gasped. Et2, mother. Daniel leaned back. Honestly, I think we're going to be okay. Melissa sat down between them. For the first time in days, she looked relaxed. For the first time ever, she wasn't caught in the middle. Quiet twist. Later that night, after everyone had gone to bed, Evelyn sat on the edge of her guest room bed, holding her phone. She scrolled to a text thread with a contact saved as R. She typed, He's not what I expected. I still don't trust him completely. But I don't think he's a threat. Not yet. She stared at it. Then deleted the last line. Typed again. He's decent. Maybe better than I thought. She hit send. Then she sat back, staring at the ceiling. Outside, a single rumble of thunder rolled across the sky.